How's it going, everybody? Jake from Boatman UK here. To my right, you'll notice there's a case, and inside that case is our latest new bait boat. Now, it's not new in the aspect of a new model as such, a new variant, I guess, is probably the better term to put it. It's one of our Act Plus bait boats. So our Act Plus is now 4 years old. We've been doing this bait boat for quite some time, and it still remains to be one of our best-selling overall bait boats. Now, the Act Plus is a fantastic boat. We already know all the details on the Act Plus, so I won't go into too much detail. With this latest model, the new thing about it is it's obviously V2, so it has all the usual new stuff such as the waterproof capabilities. It comes in this lovely hard case, but this boat, although a basic model, has a GPS feature on it, so it's called set distance. So what it will allow you to do is it will allow you to send the boat out to specific set distances, which is cool. But my favourite feature, it has an auto return home function, so you can actually just single press a button and ask the boat to return home. And for a basic bait boat without GPS, I don't think there's another one on the market that can do that. So we'll open up the case, we'll have a look at the boat. So like I was saying, same as our new Act Plus models, this is a V2. So some of the nice additions to the V2 models specifically on the Act Plus are that they come in the previously seen hard case. They also come with Wii guards and metal props as standard. They have the Vulcan style handset, and they're also fully waterproof as well. So again, same as the Vulcan, you can do silly stuff like throw it in the water like I just did, and you won't get any water in the boat. But more importantly, and obviously what it's used for, is more so in heavier chop, and also like if you leave the boat outside the bivvy in the rain, for example, you don't have to worry about it filling up with water like the earlier models can do. So those are the nice additions to the V2 specifically. Now, this being what we call a set distance boat, there's a few new additions. So it has a form of GPS, but not in the aspect of being able to navigate to a safe point. So what you can do with this, and I'll show you the handset in a moment and go through a bit more information and detail. So you can actually save your home point. So that's the major thing with this handset, in my opinion, is the fact that you can actually save a home point. So obviously, most of the time, if you're sending your boat out however many wraps, for example, by the time you've dropped your rig and everything like that, you've then got to also worry about returning the boat home and controlling it, which can be, it's doable, of course it is, but it's a bit of a faff and a bit of a hassle. And then the other issue is if you want a boat that auto returns home, or you simply press a button like you can on this one to return home, those boats are normally very expensive because you have the full capabilities and features of GPS. Now with this, as I say, it has a form of GPS, but without breaking the bank, because it doesn't allow you to save spots or locations. This just simply allows you to go to set distances and allows you to return home. So I'll do this now. What I'll do is I'll save my little home point somewhere around here. Hopefully you can see that in that vicinity. We'll send the boat out, we'll show you the remote a bit closer up, and we'll ask it to return home and show you how that works. Now, before I go into details of the remote, first thing you should always do with any boat that's got any form of GPS, even if it's a basic form of GPS like on this boat, for example, is compass calibration. Now, the remote on this, which I'll show you up close in a moment, is incredibly similar. In fact, is the same layout as our usual GPS, just without some of the normal GPS features. So I've sent the boat out around 10 foot, probably a bit more than that, and I'm going to calibrate the compass now. Now, whilst I do that, I'll explain essentially the importance of this is because when you calibrate the compass, the boat is learning north, south, east and west, and it helps it to navigate better. So if you don't calibrate the compass, or you're finding that your boat is navigating a little bit all over the spot, or it's taking weird routes to get to your safe location, it's likely because you haven't calibrated the compass. And again, although this is just a basic boat with regards to being able to just return to a home point, I want to make sure it can return to that home point as accurately and as safely as possible. So that's where calibration of the compass comes into play. So we'll let that do its thing. We'll get the boat into this vicinity and save our home point, and we will show you the remote. Now, I'm going to save a home point. I will go through details of the remote in just a moment, but I just wanted to show the return home feature and how that works, because it's very, very simple. Now, you can save your home point two ways. You can either press and hold the return button like so, and you'll see start point OK comes up. and you'll see that this little house here, that changes down to 1 foot. We're currently in feet. You can change to meters as well, which I'll go into in a moment. Alternatively, you can go through the menu, so you can press menu and you'll see option 3 says set home point, and that will allow you to also save your home point as well. Now, one important thing that I will say about this particular model, something that is almost a bit of a nuisance, but I understand why they've done it, is that you have to save your home point every time you place the boat back in the water. The reason for that is every time you turn the boat on, it will override your home point. It will save your home point as where you turn the boat on. The reason for that is because on this particular model, you don't have to save a home point. On the normal GPS models, to use your GPS, you have to save a home point, which is obviously like a safety feature. So if the boat runs out of battery or detects it's low on voltage or anything like that, it can return home safely instead of getting stranded and stuck. Whereas with this, you don't have that safety feature as such because you don't have to save a home point. So what it will do is it will automatically detect when it's turned on and save that as your home point. So each time you pop it in the water, as I say, it's a bit of a nuisance, but you just have to save your home point over again. But it does make sense as to why they've done that. So what I'll do now is I'll sail the boat out a little bit, I'll ask for it to return home, and then we'll show you the remote in some greater detail. So I won't go too far, we'll go to over there. And as you can imagine the scenario, you've just dropped your rig, and instead of having to manually control the boat, you can just simply press return, and the boat will now automatically come back to me. I'll even go one step further just to show that I'm not controlling it. And another nice feature that I haven't mentioned is that the remote is also fully waterproof. So I can plonk him in the water, let him chill in there. And as you can see, the boat is returning back to its original home point. So now that I've showed the return home feature, we'll cover the set distance. So you'll see on the screen, you've got a number of different numbers. We'll start by going through what each thing is and what it does. So in the top left here, that's our satellite. So we've got 20 satellites. That is the maximum amount of satellites that you will get on this particular model. To the right of that, we've got our signal strength. So as always with the Boatman range, you get 500 meters of range. This is your compass, let's say, what you're currently doing with the boat. So P is for parked, we're not doing anything. If I go backwards, you'll see the directional arrow change. So that's just a reference so you know what you're doing. Just after that, we've got our distance. That can be changed between feet and meters in the menu. And then we have our 2 battery logos. We've got B for boat and R for remote. The rest of this screen is all your set distance side, and we'll go into greater details of that in a moment, but it's not something that I really have used much myself, in all honesty. I personally really like the home feature. That's the main thing that I think that will be the appeal for this particular model of boat, in my opinion. So as mentioned on here, you have your home point. That tells you how far away your home point is. Here is your distance. That is your selected set distance. Again, I'll cover that in a moment. We have our, I haven't set it yet, but this is our bow direction, so you can set it so the boat, whichever position it's in, which you can currently see it's currently out of sync, but you can change that and make sure that it all syncs up and it lines up so you can get a better idea of its orientation if it's further out in the water. Here we have hook release and our left and right hoppers, so if I operate the hoppers, you will see that that changes like so. And the nice thing about the Actor Plus is that you don't have to manually close the hoppers. You can simply press that button again and they will close for you. You can of course operate them individually as well. And you also have a hook release, which again you'll see that that changes when the hook release is operated. Also, another, I keep saying nice feature because there are a lot of nice features about this boat, is you also have speed adjustment as well. So you'll see H, we're currently high. We press the speed button, you can see you can cycle through. So same as the Vulcan, you can change your speed control, which is fantastic. In my opinion, speed control is good for, so for example, if you're towing a deeper, you're using your sonar, then you know that's where you're changing the speed comes into play. And also, of course, is battery life as well. You will also find as well, in my opinion, if you go for a slower speed, like a medium, that the boat will navigate better to its home point. It will return home more accurately because it's not going quite as quick. It can take its time. And of course, it doesn't matter how quick the boat returns anyway, just as long as it comes back in one piece. One piece of advice I will give, obviously regarding saving your home point, don't save it right too close to the bank. And also, depending on how you're positioned with your rods, always save it to the left or to the right, because the return home feature is accurate to within a meter, but you know, if you're saving it too close to any of that, then you're running some risks there. Now, we'll go through set distance. Now, set distance is exactly what it says it is. It allows you to send the boat out to specifically preset distances. Now, in my honest opinion, I think these distances that are already preset are kind of a bit far. I don't think many people are certainly going to be fishing at 1500 foot. The minimum is 250, and as you can see, it goes up in increments of 50 to begin with, then 100, and so on and so forth. But if I click this, so if I just pretty much, I'm hovering over the 250 and use the left and right buttons to navigate which one. So I'm just going to navigate to 250. If I just simply press distance, it will now, you'll see, will change to 250, and it will tell you that's the one you've selected. To simply cancel, you just press down on the D-pad and that will stop it from going. But the set distance will allow the boat to travel in auto forward essentially for that amount of distance. Now you still have to steer it and everything like that, of course. And you can alternatively, you could just use the forward feature and that'll allow you to engage auto forward anyway. It's kind of just a different way to do it. I would say set distance will come in handy for those of you that fish, you know, a lot more range, like, you know, way more wraps than normal, for example, which I don't think there's probably many of us, but it just allows you to engage you know, a longer auto forward, I guess. And that's exactly what set distance is for. And as you can see, as I say, there's all your different distances. If you go into menu, we can switch units. So we can change here to meters, like so. And you'll see that they all change to meters, but again, the distance in my opinion is still quite far. So it's not something that I think a lot of people will use. It's a cool feature. Bear in mind, this is still a basic bait boat, technically speaking. You know, in terms of pricing structure, considering it has the features that it does, it's still incredibly cheap. And this is just a little bonus, I guess you could say, that it comes with. But I think majority of people are going to like this for its return home feature anyway. And that's certainly what I use it for. Other than that, the rest of the menu, or the rest of the buttons are pretty self-explanatory. You've got your auto forward, you've got your headlights, you've got left, right, okay, return, which we've covered for the home point, distance for the set distance, and then you've got your menu where you can go through and go for a variety of things, which I'm probably not going to cover in this video, to be honest with you. But that's the remote, and that's what the set distance does. That pretty much covers everything there is to cover on this. Now, of course, it is still a pretty basic boat in terms of it doesn't have a full GPS, it doesn't have sonar, but you don't necessarily need that. And that's the reason why this video is probably not quite as long as my normal videos. It's probably gone on a bit longer than I wanted it to, but they always do. Now, I can see this particular model of boat being incredibly popular. In terms of pricing, our normal Acta Pluses are $399 for a black one or $425 for a carbon, and these are going to be an extra £50 on top. Of that 50 quid, you know, you think you're getting a fully waterproof remote, the boat itself is also waterproof, you're getting a carry case, and you're also getting that return home function as well, which I think is just, for a basic boat, is insane. So yeah, these are going to be, this particular one's going to be $475 in the carbon fibre, and the black one will be $450. So again, I don't think anywhere really does a basic boat that has that return home function, and I think that's just brilliant in my opinion. I know it would be biased, of course, but as I say, I can't really think of any other boats that have that same sort of function. And I certainly can't think of any boats that I'd confidently, for the same money, confidently dip in the water and submerge and do stupid stuff like that. And then same with the remote. And you know what, I'll show you, before I go in myself, I'll show you that it all still works just fine. So it's just dead smart. So we've got a good amount of stock of these. They've literally just come in. So if you are interested, I won't worry about stock levels, but I do think they're going to be popular. So if you're on the fence, of course, get in touch with us and hopefully we can convince you, of course. But that pretty much covers it for this video. Take care.